Look, on with the show. We've already covered a few, but mistakes. We've made a few. So we thought that we would bring you, I think this was Ali's idea, some of the missteps, miscalculations, these little trips along the way made in trail racing and training and how you can avoid them. Well, I don't know if you can, but anyway. Kerry and Ali, you actually put this out to the excellent SQUADRUN community, right? And much hilarity unfolded.
I actually had tears, like crying tears of laughter at some of these, just imagining them happening. But I think it's good because when you share your bad experiences or negative or challenging circumstances that you've been through with your running, people learn from it, and hopefully, they won't make the same mistakes that some of us have made. So, I just thought it'd be a funny one to kind of talk over and have some banter about it all.
I feel like you want to play that Queen song with the bad mistakes. I've made a few.
Oh yeah, you can sing it to us if you want, Kerry.
When you think back about the running and racing that you've done, yeah. I think like a times I got it wrong montage would be great. Reese dug up a clip of me sliding down a mountain earlier today. He found it on his phone, and it was way too dangerous coming off the side of Mount Ruapehu. And I think I said, "Great, I've saved 5 minutes and knocked 10 years off my life." I mean, just obviously reckless things in the wilderness, but in a racing sense, I guess I was pretty lucky that things didn't go super wrong for me. But I did fuss about the detail and make sure I tried to get everything right. So I've witnessed plenty. I'll never forget pacing Paul Charteris when he decided to run the 100K Tarawera. And he was overheating, being the unit that he is, and he was in and out of the lakes every opportunity he had to cool down. Great idea in theory, except the moisture led to some grinding action in his downstairs. And by the time I caught up with him 60K in, he was chafing so bad. He looked like he'd just got off a horse. And he was, of course, trying to run like that. And it simply can't be done. So he strolls up to the aid station and he grabs the tub of Vaseline that was on the aid station and he like a 3-finger spoon through it and then, wipes it on his downstairs. And I'm like, yeah, that's going to help. But then, like, he reached to go again, and that was the point. I sort of dove across at him in like this "Get Down, Mr. President" move to make sure that hand didn't go back in the Vaseline because, that I don't. Yeah, it's a one dip only. Like when you've got corn chips at a classy function, like you just don't double dip the Vaseline.
Never double dip.
And the pro move is you go straight into the jelly beans because you don't have to actually grab. It saves time. You just press it. And you could just press it against the thing and you'll get some jelly beans, like an anteater's tongue straight in there. But
not so much a mistake, but more of a trail etiquette thing, I guess it was. But I guess that, maybe he learned that probably running an ultramarathon in and out of water is not always a great idea. And yeah, the chafing monster is a real one. And there's certainly a few themes that came through with the responses that we got from our athletes to, when things went wrong.
I remember that because I ran that race as well. And I remember thinking very naively that, Paul was the race director of a large ultramarathon and that he would have everything dialed and be like, he'd have all the gear, he'd have all the stuff. And I just remember seeing him sort of shamble up. And he looked like when we saw him at the Redwoods with his kids, Eugene, and you were like, would you like some help? And he was like, yes. Yeah, just like, obviously he'd been trying to plan an ultramarathon and run one. And I think he had like Mike Wardian shoes on. Like you said, like he had no stuff, and it was just wow. That was a real light bulb moment for me. Like
I remember running that day too, and it was hot. Yeah, and I remember hearing, I don't know, I heard on course that he was going in and out of the water, and was thinking, "Wow, that's actually a really good idea." Until I heard what happened later on.
It's so funny. It was
blood trail.
It was funny running with him for that last 40Ks because he's like this big polar bear. He loves sort of just like giving people big hugs and being the nicest guy. But because he was running that day, he was fiercely competitive. Like I consider myself a pretty competitive athlete. I've been around a lot of competitive athletes. I've never seen anything like it. Talk about red mist. Like we're going to need, who's our dog that does the voiceovers here to cover
Rigby.
up Rigby's going to deal us out of some trouble here, but we would be running up behind someone who's like, who's that person up there? I'm going to fucking get them. I'm going to past him, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like, we're battling for like
Are you-
400th place here, Paul.
Are you
just
sure
doesn't
you were
ma-
running with him?
It was
I can't believe it.
Only he could verify the story because I was the only other person around. But I'm telling you, every single person, like and he'd get up beside them and they'd be like, "Oh, hi, Paul. How you doing? How's your day going?" And he was stone cold. Like, it was unreal. Yeah, it was. I mean, still the same guy, but at the finish line. But man, there was some of the thunderbolts coming out. It was great to see.
Wow. Who would have thunk that?